Alright, I'm gonna test if this is working. I'm doing I think the latest I've ever done a coding stream before. Just gonna verify everything's working. Looks like it is. Alright, I'm gonna test if this is working. So, I think what I'm going to do is, one moment, just gotta get something. Just adjusting the mic. So it's December 1st. So we're just gonna kind of, review where we left off. So where we left off was we made, I would say, a lot of considerable progress. I'll kind of reiterate what we're doing. Is we're learning through the freecodecamp.org, where anyone can access this information through the website. It's just I'm going through it as I go and explaining also as I go. Just explaining how this is set up. We are, well, in general, we're kind of approaching this from all angles. We're doing programming. We've done a good amount of Java. Not on this. This is kind of more catered towards web development. But we have worked within Java. There's a plan to get into Android development, but this is kind of primarily focused on web development. And essentially, they have two learning modules. This is kind of the very beginning of web development. This is kind of the beginner stuff. Where I remember this was the only option. It's now it's called Legacy Responsive Web Design certification. Where we did finish it. We did review it. So if you want to check in prior streams, but we did review it. Eventually, what I'm thinking is once we get to kind of each milestone, I want to make it so that we have a lot more engagement. Like maybe a panel, add a gilded. Also, I'm trying to work on something where we can have a GitHub, where we can share files, so we can contribute to. We can kind of build more of a community of coding. But we did finish all of this, and essentially, there's another module made, but it's a newer version. So we're actually just going through that, and we're actually almost done with it. So if you look, all the blue is what's completed, and the white is what's not. So once we hit 1/70, we actually would accomplish this entire module. And the next level is CSS. So let's just kind of continue to go through this. I kind of think this should be, I don't know, maybe a short stream or however it is. But we're just gonna go through and finish this module. So we're at 57. Let's just see an example of this. Alright, this is a code. usually gives us code here. This is a code, and this is the outcome, as you remember. And usually how it works is it basically gives you a task to do, and then your job's to do it, and then you check the code to see if it works. So let's just go through this. So step 57, add the name attribute to the value personality to the checkbox input element. So this is the checkbox input element. So add the name attribute. So if you remember what attribute is, it'll look something like this. And what is the value they're asking? Personality. So just so we don't make any kind of error, we're just going to copy and paste it. Well, you won't notice this in the browser. Doing this makes it easier for a server to process your web form, especially when there are multiple checkboxes. Okay, so again, it's more of with forms, it's a matter of it's a matter of the data. So it's a matter of names and values. I don't know if I'm showing. I'm re-showing that notepad. But if we go back, actually, one moment. Just want to get this correctly because I'm referring to it. Alright, so just kind of referring to this again, it's about names and values. So if we go back to it, the reason why they say it'll be better for the browser is because a form is about names and values. So first of all, let's just check this code, see if we did our task right. Did we add a name attribute? Yes. Did we make that value personality? So let's check the code. So congratulations, code passes. So submit, go to the next challenge, 58. Add another checkbox after the one, so add another checkbox after the one you just added. So let's actually get a full view of this. Add another checkbox after the one you just added. So how do we do that? What does that mean? Let's just read the whole thing. Add another checkbox after the one you just added. The ID attribute values should be lazy. and the name attribute values should be the same as the last checkbox. Now again, why that is because when you do this, essentially it's a group where you need to know that it's like the name personality, and then it's going to ask a kind of big the question, what checkbox did you check? Did you check the loving checkbox? Did you check what we're going to create, the lazy checkbox? So in this situation, we're going to create a lazy checkbox. So we're going to have two options, lazy or loving. Those are two options. So that's why they need to have the same name. Because if they don't have the same name, they're not talking to each other. That's why if you notice with radio buttons where you can only have one of them, if they don't have the same name, it doesn't show that feature that you can only select one. See here, you can only select one. The only reason why that is because these two things are talking to each other, and they have the same name. Indoor, outdoor, indoor, outdoor. If I just put a 3 here, right? Boom. Now all of a sudden you can select both, because now it doesn't matter. Because now there's a whole new name and value pair where it's not matching. So in order to get them to talk to each other, that's why you need to have the name to be the same. It's kind of like a saying, the name should be the same. So let's just create this. Also add a label element to the right of the new checkbox. With the text lazy. Make sure to associate the label element with the new checkbox using the for attribute. So I'm going to presume that we would want that checkbox to be after the label. Some reason. So what should the ID be? Lazy, because that's what we were asked to do. What is a type? Some reason, if you notice, it's being created here. I don't know why it defaults, I guess, to a text, but if you notice that, but it's a checkbox, right? Boom, checkbox. What is a name? The name has to be the same. So it's personality. So the name's the same. Now, we're creating that label. So basically what we're doing is we're creating this for this. So let's do it. The 4 is going to be lazy. And with that said, it appears that we have accomplished what it told us to do. So it said add another checkbox with the one you just added. the ID attribute value should be lazy, and the name attribute value should be the same as the last checkbox, which it is. Also add a label element to the right of the new checkbox with the text lazy, which we just did right here. And make sure to associate the label element with the new checkbox using the for attribute. So let's check our code. Congratulations, your code passes. I mean, I could make mistakes here and there, so it could be wrong and then figure it out. But it did pass. So let's go to the next challenge. Now we're at 59. Alright, so we're going to continue. Um, yeah, some reason, sorry, my battery charger is being a little wonky, so I have to, I'm gonna use the other one. Alright, so I just got my charger plugged in. So everything seems to be working. So let's find out what it's asking us is step 59. So remember, 69 is what we need to be complete with it. So the final step, or one of the, well, step 59 is add a final checkbox after the previous one with an ID attribute value of energetic. The name attribute should be the same as the previous checkbox, right? Also add a label element to the right of the new checkbox within the text energetic. So basically we're just creating another checkbox with the name energetic. That's all we're being instructed to do here. Make sure to associate the label element with the new checkbox. So let's just so this shouldn't be, this is just building off of what we did before. What is the ID? It's energetic. I'll actually spell it out. Not even going to copy and paste. So now it's a checkbox. So now you can see the checkbox is generated right here. We're going to keep the name the same. So now we've actually created the checkbox, but now we need a label. So let's actually copy and paste the old label. This is the label. It's titled energetic. Okay. Oh, it's case sensitive. Yep, so now it passes. So now we're on step 60. Like radio buttons, form data for selected checkboxes are name value attribute pairs. While the value attribute is optional, it's best practice to include it with any checkboxes or radio buttons on the page. Add a value attribute to each checkbox. For convenience, set each checkbox value attribute to the same value as its ID attribute. So, like radio buttons, so let's talk about radio buttons. Form data for selected checkboxes are name and value attribute pairs, and really all elements is about name and value pairs. While the value attribute is optional, it's best practice. So let's see what it's asking us to do. Okay, so it's just asking us to put values in there. So this value is going to be the same as this ID. And we're going to make another value. It's going to be the same as this ID. What is this ID? It's lazy. So I think that's all it was asking us to do. So that code should pass, and it does. So now we're on step 60. Now we're going to go to step 61. In order to make a checkbox checked or a radio button selected by default, you need to add the checked attribute to it. There's no need to set the value to the checked attribute. Instead, just add the word checked to the input element. Okay, so in this situation, let's say you have these checkboxes, right? And let's just say before the form even loads for the user, you want one of these checkboxes to be checked just by default. So right when you see it, it would look like this, or it would look like this, or it would look like this. How would you do that? So literally, remember, this is that code. This is a code for this checkbox. So how you do that, and it doesn't really matter where you do that, but you just put checked. And as you see, it just got checked. The checkbox got checked. So now I'm going to check the lazy checkbox. So notice that checkbox is going to be checked just by that. See? There it is, checked. We'll see the last one. checked. I'm pretty sure it didn't ask for all of them to be checked. So it also works for radio buttons. So it didn't ask for all of them to be checked. So it's saying the first radio button and the first checkbox. So I made it so that we have the first checkbox by undoing the last two, but it wants this to be checked by default. So that's the indoor radio button. So very simply, checked. And so now we have the first radio button checked and the first checkbox checked. So let's see, that's what it asks us to do. In order to make a checkbox checked or radio button selected by default, you need to add the checked attribute to it. There's no need to set a value, so that's pretty much what we did. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. So, I believe that, it says we passed the test, so we're at 61. We're going to try to hit 69, and then we are on to CSS. Step 62, now you will add a footer section to the page after the main element. So the main element, how much is the main element? What are we going to look for to find the main element? You have to go all the way to the ending main element brace. So between this and this is all the main element. So the footer, like a foot, will go underneath that. So, I think that's literally all it asked us to do. So, yeah, that's literally all it asked us to do. If you remember, the general template for all this is, that's an element. It's an opening element, a closing element, yeah, let's just move on. So now we're at 63. Nest a P element with the text, no copyright, freecodecamp.org, within the footer element. Okay, so when they say nest a P element within the text, with the text, no copyright, whatever this is going to be nested within a P element. So let's just make the P element first. Now we take this text and we paste it in. And should it work? That's what we did, right? We took this text and we nested it within a P element in the footer. So let's check the code. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. So we're at 63, and now we're going to go to 64. So we're getting very close. Number 69 finishes this module. Make the text freecodecamp.org into a link How do we do that? By enclosing it in an anchor element. The href attribute should be set to this. So we already know about that. So just turn this into a link. This is going to be a closing brace. This is a href. So, so now if you notice, this is now a link. So does the code pass? Oh, actually it doesn't pass. It's like I made some kind of mistake. Sorry, your code does not pass. Keep trying. The link text should be freecodecamp.org. Were we supposed to make another one? Another footer? Or are we supposed to change this? Let me just see. Oh, I see what it's asking us to do. I think I misunderstood the directions. So it actually is just making this a link, not this entire thing. So I made too much of it the link. Where before I made this entire thing the link, and that's not what it was asking us to do. So we were only really supposed to make that the link. So that should be what we're supposed to do, and it is. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. So now we're 64, gonna move to 65. Notice that everything you've added to the page so far is inside the body element. All page content elements that should be rendered to the page go inside the body element. However, other important information goes inside the head element. Add a head element above the body element. Okay, so the footer goes below the main. Then we have this whole body element. So we're gonna make the head element. I think that's all we're supposed to do, right? Just make the head element. Yeah. So that's it. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. So now we're going to 66. The title element determines the browsers. Show on the title bar. Remember that. I actually added a yeah to it just to test if It was the right one. So we can go back to it, but all it's gonna ask in this situation is let's just make the title. And it's remember it's right up here. So this would be the title. This would be the title. This would be the title. What the title really is it's what your tab will say. It's how your tab will describe the website. That's just what it is. So we're gonna make it cat photo app. Cat photo app. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. I don't think it can show a title because it's all in a simulator. But that's what it would be if it was an actual website. So step 67, notice the entire contents of the page is nested within the HTML element. All other elements must be descendants of this HTML element. I think what it means is everything, all the elements, everything that basically makes it the HTML page is within this HTML element. I think that's what it's trying to say. So all this means it's HTML code. So that's what it's saying. Add the lang attribute with the value en to the opening HTML tag to specify that the language of the page is in English. Oh, so lang English. That's it. So why would you want to do that? So let's say you're translating this website to Spanish or Japanese, or you're working, there's a viewer all around the world. If they have a translator, wouldn't it be good for that translator software to know, in order for let's say if it's a person that speaks Spanish, the translator needs to know that this is an English page in order to know it's English to go from English to Spanish. So it's kind of like you do need to specify the language, because you need to know where you started in order for, if there is some translator service, which many features give you the option to translate your website to multiple languages. You need to identify what the language is in order to do that. So we're at 67. I'm going to go to 68. So the next one is the last one, and then we're on to CSS. All pages should begin with the doc type HTML. The special string is known as a declaration and ensures that the browser tries to meet industry-wide specifications. Add this declaration as the first line code. So I think this just specifies, sorry, I think I didn't get it. This just specifies that for it to use the most recent version of HTML, HTML5. So let's just test this out. Congratulations, your code passes. Submit your code to continue. Now we're going to go on to 69. So now we are this is one away from finished. You can set browser behavior by adding self-closing meta elements in the head. Here's an example. Meta tribute. So I think this is a template. Meta, whereas attribute and value. So I think that's this is a template. And what meta means in general, it means information about information. Tell the browser to parse the markup into multiple languages by creating a meta element as a child of the head element. Set its character set attribute to UTF-8. Okay. So when it says child of the head element, that means it's within here. So the title is a child of the head element. Let's just close it. UTF-8. And I believe that is it. So now we are done. So I think this goes to CSS. Learn basic CSS by building a cafe menu. So we are done. So if you notice, I think one got missed by a fluke. I'm not really sure why. Let's just see if we can fix this. Step 13. Now that you turned the text cat photos inside the P element into a link, you don't need the second link below the P element. Delete the entire anchor element below the P element. So I think that's all we do. So delete the entire anchor element below the P element. Oh, okay, I think I see what it's... asking it to do. Yep, that's it. So if we go back, we are 100% done. We are 100% done with HTML. I'm going to kind of wrap it up here, but we are 100% done with HTML. So what we're going to do is we might do a little bit more programming. but we're definitely gonna review HTML. But when we do get into CSS, that is kind of that is kind of where we need to be in order to get into Android development. So we're really getting far along. After this, we're kind of getting into the intermediate level here of web development, and then to build on to other things. So with that said, I'm gonna end it off